Then the third great mark of a strong church is where we have to share God with the world. Remember, we're saying a strong church does 5 things well. And this is the missional core. It's just a way of saying that the church has to give the gospel away. In the church calendar, it's what Epiphany means. Mission is really all about the faith jumping a barrier. It might be a geographic barrier, it might be a socioeconomic one, a racial one, whatever. The church exists to give the faith away outside itself. That's mission. And of course, in Acts 14:21, it says Paul and Barnabas preached and won a large number of converts. And in verse 27 of that same chapter, they insist on telling that story, traveling around everywhere. And it says, telling everybody what God had done through them and how he had opened a door of faith to the Gentiles too. And it was the reporting of the impact that precipitated the need to have this great gathering in Jerusalem to determine what the policy of inclusion would be for these new GBBs, Gentile background believers. Now, I think back again to the persecutor's perspective. What's the goal here? The persecutor's job is to make sure that the faith does not jump a barrier. The persecutor wants us to keep the gospel to ourselves. A privatized faith is a good solution. Or a tamed church, as one Middle Eastern leader said, by which he meant a church that settles for second-class status and refuses to do evangelism in order to be tolerated. Certain traditions in the Middle East can sometimes be termed tamed in that sense because they agree that they'll never evangelize Muslims in order to maintain their tolerated status. And we also have the tragedy, for example, of the Martoma churches in India, who received the gospel very early, but they didn't want to share the gospel with those of a lower caste. And if they had, India might be a Christian nation today. The persecutor's goal is always a church more interested in itself than the world. And this was a real issue for the New Testament church. It took persecution for the Jerusalem church, for example, to get the message that they needed to give the gospel away beyond the Jewish ghetto. So the persecutor's role is to try to induce us to keep the gospel for ourselves. And if they succeed in that, they're smiling. So we have to watch that the love energy among us runs outwards, not inwards. Think of the 6 Ds. Destroy is used to try to remove the physical church in order to render mission impossible. But all the rest apply. People who are demoralized, for example, often lose the confidence to share the gospel. Or churches that are distracted because they're so concerned with a building program, they're unable to put mission first because all their resources are running inward.